It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast, breaking down for you the Australian property market. And if this is your first week back at work, 3 more days after today, and we'll be back into the weekend to kind of catch our breath. It is a Tuesday, Jan the 13th. Hey, something that I'm enjoying at the moment on Netflix is this Aussie production called The Newsreader. This is so well put together, and it is set in 1987. The wardrobe and production team, they have done a masterful job with the series. I was working in radio at the time, and even though it's television, there are so many references and similarities to radio. It is like entering a time tunnel. So if you haven't watched it, if you haven't started it, I can recommend it. And talking of going back in time, our own time tunnel is coming next as we continue with the summer series of real estate, hearing from some of the hundreds of professionals that we spoke to last year. That is on the way next.
You're listening to the Summer Series on the Real Estate Podcast.
Canberra's market, fair to say, is a steady market and also probably a subdued market. Buyers can expect gradual price appreciation, consistent rent growth in Canberra, and relatively balanced supply-demand dynamics. It remains, I think, a solid low volatility market when you look at some other markets, although it does lack the momentum of faster growing cities. But there, in all of that, probably lies the opportunities for people to look right now at Canberra.
Look, absolutely. We are quite stable. You know, we don't necessarily get the highs of your Sydney and Melbourne markets, but we also don't necessarily get the lows. The last couple of years since the pandemic have been quite interesting here. But what we're finding at the moment is that there is some really good buying opportunity within the market because some of those markets have come down slightly. So it is slightly subdued at the moment. But it really comes down to what a particular person's strategy is in the market at the moment. You know, if they are looking to sell to buy, then, you know, generally speaking, yes, their property price might be slightly subdued, but they're also going to be buying in a market that's exactly, you know, that's subdued as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for what we're seeing at the moment, upsizing, upgrading, people jumping from certain price points because the top end of the market has come down more in Canberra than some of your entry-level areas at the moment.
Let's have a look at the median house price in Canberra on our Monday morning. It is telling us $980,000, while the median unit price is hovering around that $594,000 mark. The median dwelling price, always good to have a look at that because that is combining both the house and the unit value, which is, you know, it's pretty decent. $855,000 is the median dwelling price. Want to talk to you about the days on market because it has grown a little bit, sitting now at 72 days for you.
We have definitely seen that increase over the last 12 months. So typically your average days on market for Canberra usually float between 40 and 50 across the pandemic market. I mean, it feels like yesterday, but it was 5 years ago now. But you were finding kind of your average days on market was sitting anywhere from about 21 to 30 days. 72 it is taking a lot longer to sell property at the moment on average across Canberra.
And then you were involved in a car accident. At the time you were a motor mechanic. What happened after that saw you get into real estate?
Obviously, the accident was a bit of a surprise. I was the fittest of my life at the time, which I think helped a lot of the injuries and the recoveries afterwards. But I certainly had to rethink my life and what I was going to be doing. Bending over a bonnet wasn't going to be an option with so many lifelong injuries. had breakfast with a friend, then went home and sat down and realised what I was doing every day, which was watching property shows. During the career consultation with them, done a quick test, and it actually did come up as either sales or management should have been my next move. Yeah, from there, the TAC really helped me with training to get my agent's rep. After that, got myself a job with a small independent in the local area here, and within 3 years, I had my own office and never looked back.
You know, that is a great story on so many different levels. What you missed out, because you told me off air, was you had a newborn as well. You were playing rugby, which is part of the reason why you were the fittest that you've been. That is such a curveball. There's so many things going on, having moved out to Australia, but the ability to sort of switch it up, that's what it's all about. That's what life is all about. Sometimes, you know, we've got to reinvent ourselves every 10 plus years. This was forced upon you. The fact that you were, as you say in your own words, watching a lot of property shows, bit of a no-brainer in the end.
It was. The accident was a rear ender, and it was literally the kick up the backside that I needed. I wasn't really that happy being a mechanic, and I'd always been looking for something else to do. Such a negative thing to happen to you, the best way to approach it is to look positively. So I took it as a new opportunity and an opportunity to change and try and improve. And I noticed myself change as well, my personality change. Real estate really does mold you and make you a stronger person.
You've got to be sort of mouldable, though, to sort of start off with. Some people, they get boxed in and there's no ability to change. Clearly, you had to change because of your situation. And as you say, it does sort of change the mindset, and you look at things completely different through a new lens, because that's what's basically happened. Right, let's kick on with what happened. You got into real estate. You also became an auctioneer. Do you enjoy being an auctioneer?
I do. I don't feel like we have enough auctions here in the west of Melbourne. It's definitely a big auction market on the eastern side. I was lucky enough to be coached by Phil DeFegley, and he's very good at setting you up for everyday auctions on the street where you're dealing with lots of different personalities. But the excitement of an auction is amazing, and often the results and the smiles on your vendors' faces. But I wish I could do more. It's probably a 50-50 mix at the moment.
Right, let's now go to Dubai for a little bit of an update for those Australians moving to Dubai to make a whole brand new lifestyle for themselves. And there may be a few more on their way out the back door after yesterday's RBA decision. As we move into the second half of 2025, we're getting a clearer picture of just how strong the Dubai real estate momentum has been, especially when you look at the Q2 numbers. They are showing impressive growth across all key asset classes. So Mario Volpi is back with us from Dubai. And Mario, let's walk through the sales performance in some of these top performing areas in Dubai to help our Australian audience understand what is driving the market right now.
Well, there's definitely a lot to go through, Craig. So let's start with sales. First half of this year saw an increase of 40%. That's close to $89 billion achieved, which translates to 98,603 property sales. This growth was fueled by record-breaking second quarter, which saw 53,118 transactions. That was worth around 184 billion dirhams. And that was a 25% increase compared to the previous high of 147.2 billion dirhams in Q4 of 2024. And that was 5.39 increase in transactions as well. The breakdown in the asset classes were plot sales hit 32.2 billion dirhams from 1,384 deals. That was up 49% year on year. The villa sales were 66.5 billion dirhams from just over 10,000 deals. That was up 38.3% year on year. And apartment sales were 81.6 billion dirhams. That was up 18.7% year on year.
So let's have a look at the top performing areas. Where are those, Mario?
So in Q2, JVC came out on top with 4,930 transactions. Second was Business Bay, that did 3,143. Al Yalayis 1, which is areas like Damak Lagoons, Mira Oasis, for example, they came in at 2,867 transactions. Wadi Al Safa, or basically Dubai Land, was next with 2,483, and Dubai South came in at 2,248 transactions. In Q2, the most expensive property sold was actually a tip plot on Palm Jumeirah that sold for 365 million dirhams. And off-plan sales accounted for 66% of the market and 34% from the secondary market. And the most popular price brackets was in the sort of 1 to 2 million category with 32% share. That's fairly obvious, really, being it's one of the lowest. Under 1 million came in next with 26% share, and the 2 to 3 million bracket was third with 17% share of the market.
Don't navigate the real estate market alone. Let us help guide you in the world of real estate every day. Make better informed decisions with the latest news and insights.
But I want some of your reaction to what you thought about Tuesday's RBA decision that was handed down by Michelle Bullock that did take, I think, many people by surprise.
Yep, me included. Most of us thought, the market had baked in a fall. Most of the economists were looking for a fall. So I think it surprised most of us. She did say, though, that it's not about the direction, it's about the timing. They just sort of seem to want to slow things down and potentially will look at a fall at the next meeting in August.
Yes, all eyes are going to be on August for sure. And if there's no cut in August, boy, that is going to be very interesting. But here is what I thought was an interesting comment from the RBA governor on Tuesday.
I'd say, though, it's not only interest rates that are the issue for the young people, it's the housing prices. There's nothing we can do about housing prices. And in fact, I've heard criticisms that we shouldn't lower interest rates because housing prices will go up. So we can't win. Can't put them up, can't put them down. I understand that. But again, what I'm saying is that provided we stay on track with our inflation, which that's what we're looking to do, then there is opportunity for interest rates to come down. The question of housing prices, of course, is nothing we can't do anything about, and that's a whole story for governments in particular.
Yeah, so trying to tame inflation is the role of the RBA versus the cost of the housing going up. That isn't the role of the RBA, but one conflates into the other, which is where you get that damned if you do or damned if you don't comment, Leanne, coming through from the governor. Probably some frustration.
Well, and it's true, right? Well, typically when interest rates go down, prices do go up. That is the reality of it. And she's absolutely right. It's not their role. And we have talked about lack of supply for years now. I saw some research just this week, and the government's own Housing Supply Committee are saying that we're something like 262,000 properties behind for this year. So we need more supply, and the government has made all kinds of promises about what they're going to do about that, both state and federally. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen too much actually change yet.
All roads at the moment have led us to that very short supply. With regard to the governor's decision on Tuesday, I suspect that there will be a lot of those who are saving for a deposit to get onto the property market. As a result of that decision, they're saying to themselves, great, no cash rate movement. That equals property spikes being avoided.
That's true. And if you think about the amount of money that these interest rates falls are actually saving, it's, maybe $100 a month. It's not a huge amount of money. What it does do, though, is give confidence to people that all of the increases are over, that they can feel comfortable when they're borrowing money, that they're not going to be facing hikes. So it's really a confidence play. Yes, the extra money is nice, but a small decrease doesn't make a massive difference to most people.
Some of the content, you just put your head into your hands and say, why? Why are you doing that?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I shake my head. That's a very long conversation we could have around that. I don't think people really think about the outcome that they're trying to achieve, or the outcome is just, I want to get my face out there, and they think that that's going to help their brand. And sometimes it does, but sometimes it does so much damage. I wish people would really think through the decisions before they actually post.
Your friends, if you're one of these agents that is constantly doing the selfies and doing some of these crazy videos, I should say that comedy, when it comes to real estate, that is such a fine line to walk. You've really sort of got to be on or off there. Most of the time it bombs. But your friends are not going to say, hey, what you're doing is a little bit naff on your social media channels. You know, people won't say it to anybody, so they're really not getting the feedback that they need.
So true. And it's also, word feedback is also really interesting. Instead of asking for feedback after say I give a presentation, I don't ask for feedback afterwards. I say, can you give me some advice on how you think I could improve that for next time?
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.